DNI Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard sent documents to the DOJ for criminal referral that alleges Obama directly fabricated the Russia hoax. And the reason why I'm going from one to the other is because I believe they correlate. I believe what happened in the time that Obama was president and that silence correlates with how Obama handled the transition of power when Donald Trump was inaugurated in 2016. So before we get to the video, I'm going to give you some background. The Clinton campaign and the DNC, Democratic National Committee, funded the Steele dossier through the law firm Perkins Coie and opposition research firm Fusion GPS. The dossier was compiled by former British spy Christopher Steele. Declassified notes from former CIA Director John Brennan show he briefed President Obama in 2016 on intelligence that Hillary Clinton had approved a plan to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security services. Obama was informed in real time that Hillary Clinton had approved a plan to link Trump to Russia. Instead of stopping it, because it wasn't real, Obama administration allowed the FBI and intelligence community to launch and continue Crossfire Hurricane based in part on the plan. Now, the Durham report, which was this guy that pretty much did a whole investigation on it in 2023, said the FBI had no verified intelligence to support the Russia-Trump collusion narrative when they opened Crossfire Hurricane. The Steele dossier was used to obtain FISA warrants despite being unverified and politically sourced. So they had no actual evidence to get the FISA warrants, but the FISA warrants, because there's not enough regulation on FISA warrants, they were able to get them and pretty much do a false investigation on something that they themselves made up. Intelligence leaders under Obama were aware of the Clinton plan to falsely connect Trump to Russia. Durham didn't recommend criminal charges. That's what he fucked up on. He should have recommended criminal charges. But I guess, everything happens for a reason. Timing is always important. And that wouldn't have been a good time. Now is a good time. So let's take a look at what Tulsi Gabbard is saying now about this.
Thank you so much. And thanks for focusing on this issue that these documents have really brought to the forefront, because it's one that doesn't just affect Democrats or Republicans. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue with such significant impact that it should concern every American, because it has to do with the fabric and integrity of our democratic republic. That we had a situation here where in the months leading up to the 2016 election, the intelligence community assessed, and this is what the documents detail, the intelligence community assessed essentially Russia doesn't have the tools, the capability, or the intent to try to change the outcome of the U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump pulls off a historic victory against Hillary Clinton in November of 2016. Even in the days after that election, the intelligence community continued their consistent assessment that reflected the same thing in the months leading up to the election. All of a sudden, in the early days of December, there was a president's daily brief that was drafted. This is put together by the different elements of the intelligence community that reflected that same assessment. Russia did not try to hack the election, in essence. That PDB, that document, was pulled hours before it was supposed to be published for the president to see that following morning. That document was never published until we released it yesterday. One day later, President Obama calls a meeting of his National Security Council, his top officials, to be held on what they called a sensitive topic. And the results of that meeting, which we released yesterday in these over 100 documents that talk about in detail how President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next. It was essentially a years-long coup that was launched against President Trump before he even had the opportunity to take his oath of office and be sworn in as President of the United States. So, as you know, there was a Mueller investigation that went on for years, cost taxpayers nearly $40 million. There were 2 congressional impeachments. President Trump and almost every member of his family were smeared and attacked, faced lawsuits, depositions. High-level officials were investigated. Some were arrested and put in jail. The list goes on and on about the ramifications of this, but foundational to it all was the fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting President of the United States.
Director Gabbard, I'm glad you used the word coup.
Yep. Treasonous conspiracy. Treasonous conspiracy. I've been using that word for a good chunk amount of time now, ever since, the whole auto pen, been saying that Kamala Harris and the whole cabinet committed treason. Obama, listen, the reason why, to me, these things link is because Obama wanted people to believe he was this avatar figure. He wanted people to believe that he was like the Martin Luther King of our time, with the way he spoke. Even though if you look at his policies, they were super draconian, extremely socialist, on the verge of commie. But the way he spoke got people to just agree to whatever he said. And the fact that he knew Hillary Clinton was creating a false narrative to get people to think that Donald Trump was like a Russian operative. And she used this over and over again during her campaign, and he allowed it to happen. He allowed it to happen. So what makes people think he didn't allow Epstein to commit and continue to do things that we know are evil under his watch? If he allowed Hillary Clinton to literally create a false narrative funded by the DNC to smear her opponent. The Democrats are sore losers, dude.